Hi everyone! We can't choose where we come from or what we look like. Naturally beautiful people are the lucky ones who won the genetic lottery. We feel sorry for people with diseases or imperfections, although we don't really have to. Why? Because everyone is beautiful in their own way. We all need to learn to be more accepting of everything unusual in order to see this beauty. Let's start right now. Today, you will see some really interesting people. The way they look is far from standard, but they live their lives with their heads held high. They are not afraid of challenges, and that's why we admire them so much. Let's get it on. Jyoti Amge.
I'm Jyoti Amge.
If you are a big fan of TV shows, then right now you probably jumped up from your seat and screamed something like, OMG, I've seen her somewhere. We'll save you time and say right away, yes, Jyoti starred in the American Horror Story series. She also took part in an Indian reality show, there's a documentary about her, and in general, she is a very public figure. The world knows Jyoti Amge as the smallest woman on the planet. She is officially listed in the Guinness Book of Records. Although Jyoti looks like a child, she is an adult, who will turn 27 years old by the end of the year. She's only 62.8 centimeters tall. Amge was born in the Indian city of Nagpur, and you are probably wondering why she is so small. Her restricted height is caused by a genetic disorder called achondroplasia. The problem lies in bones that have not grown to their normal size due to a lack of hormones. Is Jyoti insecure about her height? Not at all. She looks happy, smiles a lot, takes pictures with fans, and doesn't mind being surrounded by a crowd of big people. Although Jyoti is a celebrity,
The moon is beautiful.
Very nice. And the night is cool.
she's not going to stop there and wants to devote herself to a cause that makes her happy: acting. Sultan Kosin. Now that we've seen the world's smallest woman, let's look at the world's biggest man. Sultan Kosin is a farmer, as well as the holder of the current Guinness Book record. His height, frankly, is hard to comprehend, since he's 251 centimeters tall. His every body part is big, from the feet measuring 36 centimeters to the hands. Well, compared with Jyoti's hand, his hand looks absolutely gigantic. The abnormal growth of Sultan is caused by a tumor in the brain, which, unfortunately, made his life very complicated. His trouble started at a fairly young age, when the teenager had to quit high school and go to work as a farmer. A little later, he had trouble finding clothes and shoes of his size. Most companies just do not make size 62 sneakers. Sultan does not fit in cars, and because of the tumor, he has to use crutches to walk. But there are some benefits too. Since Sultan is a farmer, he can work even with the tallest trees. Well, in general, he can handle household works a person of normal size can't. In the past, the doctors were concerned about Sultan's health, as he kept on growing due to the tumor. However, in 2012, they managed to suppress it. So Sultan now lives an almost ordinary life and even got married. Isaiah Acosta. Our next hero was born on October 31st, 1999. Doctors were shocked to see him and were certain the boy would not survive. A little later, when Isaiah survived despite all the difficulties, doctors said he would not be able to walk. And again, this guy refused to accept it. As you can see, Isaiah is walking just fine. In the end, the doctors were right about only one thing: Isaiah would not be able to talk because he was born without a jaw. You will, however, be surprised to find out what career Isaiah chose. He's a rapper, even though he cannot make a sound. But first things first, Isaiah Acosta was born in Glendale, Arizona. Since childhood, he was developing his artistic talent and spent all his free time writing poems and lyrics for songs. For a teenager, this was the only way to forget about his problems and express his feelings. His voice, trapped inside his body, could never be heard. But that changed a few years ago when Isaiah met a rapper, Trap House. Together, they found a way to create music. Trap House became a voice Isaiah never had. That's how Isaiah became living proof that nothing is impossible. Sarah Gertz. Can you guess how old this woman is? We're sure some of you will say that she looks great for her 50-60 years, but there's one small thing. She's actually much younger. Sarah Gertz turned 29 years old recently. The reason she has numerous wrinkles and folds on her body is a rare disorder called the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It happens when the woman's body lacks collagen in the skin, and as you probably know, collagen is responsible for the strength and elasticity of the skin. For many people, old age is a very real issue.
lot for that ice there.
Women spend a lot of money on revitalizing products and procedures that help fight aging. Knowing that, it wouldn't be surprising if Sarah had a lot of insecurities, but actually, she doesn't seem to have any. She refuses to hide from the world, quite the opposite. She works as a model, has a popular Instagram account with over 94,000 subscribers, and encourages people not to be shy about their looks, even if they differ from traditional beauty standards. There was a time, says Sarah, when her skin was her most important issue. Now she is certain it's the most beautiful thing about her, and we're not gonna argue with that. Martin Sheedy. Here is more proof that even with serious physical defects, you can live a normal life. Martin Sheedy was born in Dearborn, Michigan, not far from Detroit. Since the day he was born, he had 3 disorders: dislocated hips, club feet, and scoliosis. The boy looked so unusual that he had to spend almost 4 months in the hospital before the doctors misdiagnosed him. In fact, they basically gave up on the boy, because children with that diagnosis usually do not even live up to 4 years. Luckily though, the parents were not convinced the diagnosis was right. They consulted with many doctors until they finally found someone who could correctly diagnose their son. Thanks to that doctor, Martin survived, and the treatment was effective. So the disease he actually suffers from is called arthrogryposis. It leads to consequences like underdeveloped joints, muscles, and deformations of limbs. Walking in a scissor-like manner is not something Martin did since birth. He chose to do it because this is the easiest way for him to walk. At the age of 19, he managed to get a driver's license, and he chose business and management as a profession.
It's business. Oh.
Martin's unusual looks are not a problem for him. He even learned to treat people's remarks with humor. When a little boy on the street called Martin a puppet, he decided to dress up as Pinocchio for Halloween.
Papa.
Where were you?
Michelle Kish. It might be hard to believe, but the person in the next video is not a child, but a young woman. And despite her unusual appearance, she is dealing with the most common problems for her age. Her sister already has a boyfriend, not even the first one, and she's never dated anyone. She has another problem as well, and this one is not so common. She's not allowed on the park rides, all because there is a height restriction on almost all of them, and Michelle is barely tall enough to reach the waist of an ordinary adult. Otherwise, there's almost nothing different about her life. Miss Kish undergoes regular medical treatment and does not complain about her disorder called Hallermann-Streiff syndrome. It's a genetic pathology characterized by 28 symptoms. Michelle has 26 of them, but we can still say she's lucky. That is because the 2 symptoms she doesn't have cause brain damage. So Michelle is just a regular person trapped in an unusual body. This syndrome, by the way, is extremely rare. So rare that when Michelle was born, there were only 250 people in the world who had it. The doctors had to identify the disease by the pictures in the medical book because they had never seen anything like it before. And oh right, we've forgotten one more issue, the most important one. Michelle can't swim because of the feeding tube in her throat, and that is a real bummer because she's always wanted to be a mermaid. Lalit Patidar. If you are a fan of mythical creatures, especially werewolves, then you will definitely be happy to see the last person of today's video, because Lalit Patidar, a young resident of the Indian city Ratlam, has a disease that doctors call hypertrichosis. It's commonly referred to as the werewolf syndrome. This disease is characterized by an excess of body hair in places where it should not grow. In Lalit's case, it is primarily a face, where the length of the hairs reaches 5 centimeters. The boy's hair also grows more densely on the rest of his body. You would think that our hero has a hard time at school, as he's so different from his peers. Thankfully, people on our planet are getting kinder with each passing year, and that's why his classmates quickly got used to Lalit's unusual looks and do not bully him for that. And that is good, because the boy already has to face difficulties that other people simply can't imagine. For example, hair doesn't let him breathe normally through his nose, and sometimes obstructs his view. Unfortunately, there are no ways to cure hypertrichosis. However, there are methods of treatment that can improve the situation and make life a little easier for Lalit. Well, that's it for today. See you soon!